Hi guys, welcome to the analysis for September 4th, Tuesday. This is our first September analysis, so happy September. Some interesting things going in the market. Our first day back from a long holiday weekend here in the United States. So we're going to cover a few of those. One thing I'm looking at here is a euro-dollar reversal setup that might be worth taking a look at, and I'll show you the different factors that I'm playing with there. We also got an odd dollar continuation pattern that goes kind of hand in hand with the euro dollar. So I'm going to show you those. But before we do that, I want to take a look at our news tomorrow. There's not much, but there is a few key announcements. And you can see here that there's no US dollar news, but there is two 9 a.m. Canadian newses right here. And both big ones. Number one, I marked the wrong one. There we go. Number one, we have the Bank of Canada. So anytime a national bank is speaking or making a statement, like a rate statement, it's going to be a pretty big player in the news. So you want to pay attention to that. And then later on, we have some Asian session news, which is unemployment, change in unemployment rate for the Australian dollar. So those are going to be two biggies as well. Any odd trades that you might have on. Now I'm going to talk about one odd trade today are going to be definitely affected by those two announcements. So keep those in mind, and also check out Tony's article as he writes about Australia in the link below. So you want to hit that and make sure that you're up to date with that information as well. All right, let's check out our terms. Okay, so here we have our terms of agreement, and this is just basically to let you know that this is for educational purposes. We're just giving you our opinions and our feedback on the market. We're not licensed or qualified to provide investment advice. Okay, so it's important that you understand that, just so that we are in line with what the United States government expects of us. That's important to just make sure that we're abiding by those rules. So if you need to pause that to check those out, please do that. And I'm going to jump into the analysis now. So up first for you, I have the euro-dollar chart here, and I mentioned that I'm looking at a potential reversal sign here in the euro-dollar. And the one reason that I like this is because we have some triple tail action up here, a lot of topping action that's pointing back down. But the other reason is that we are off a pretty key resistance level. You can see that there's been multiple tails that have tested this level before, and we had 3 direct tails in a row into that level where price has pushed to some extent back down. Now, if I zoom up a little bit, you can see that today's daily bar is on its way to finishing pretty bearish overall. And one thing we'd look for is for price to maybe finish right below the previous tail. So it hasn't really quite eclipsed that. It certainly hasn't closed below that because it hasn't closed yet. But that would be a sign that price is making some positive momentum and progress towards the lower low. Now, of course, thinking reversal and thinking short in the situation is dangerous because we're definitely in a recent uptrend. You can see that price has moved up consistently. And even within this uptrend, we have this little shape forming here, which is also going up. So even within the uptrend, we have some more up movement. Yet in spite of that, I am thinking that this is a possible short opportunity. And there's a few reasons why. One is just that price action is pushing down and looks to be ready to move in a different direction based on the topping action that we see here. The other reason is that even if it isn't a long-term short and it's not going to come down at mid-range down here of this uptrend, I could still have reasonable expectations that it's going to come at least down to here, which will give me plenty of time to lock in a little bit of profit and not lose the trade even if it is going to reverse right back up. So some safety in the idea that it should at least come down to this bottom area that it's building. And then the last reason is that I think that the euro has been too strong recently for what it should be. And I have evidence of that by looking at the odd dollar and seeing that with odd weakness that the dollar is strong enough to really push the odd dollar down. So this uptrend here is not because of US dollar weakness. It's because of technically because of euro strength. And so because this has been totally motorized by euro strength, in my opinion, I think that the euro is due to die back a little bit. Now, of course, things like that depend on news and other stuff going on. But I think from a fundamental standpoint, the euro should not be expected to maintain a lot of strength throughout. And of course, that's something that I could be totally wrong on. That's really my own bias, my own opinion. but it's something that gives me a little bit more confidence thinking short on the euro dollar in this situation, and thinking that there's a pretty high probability that we'll get down into this range, and somewhat of a probability that we could get like mid-range pullback down into here. And so with that possibility, I think that's a relatively good trade opportunity. And like I said, it does go hand in hand with like an odd dollar short that's showing a ton of momentum to the downside. And odd dollar and euro dollar, of course, are not completely correlated, but there is some correlation there. So I think that, with that going on, it provides even a little more confidence that dollar has enough strength to push this euro dollar down. Again, that's something that I'm just going to have to wait and see for myself based on my euro short here, and I'll let you know how that works out. But I think that there's enough reasonability here to think about taking this short based on this topping action and price looking to push lower. So here you can see the odd dollar that I was talking about, and since this move here, this actual bounce off this trend line, we've had a lot of consistent down movement. There have definitely been some pullbacks, but the overall movement has been very bearish, and there's been a lot of momentum in that. And again, that is mostly odd weakness, as odd has gotten beaten across the board, but it does show that the dollar has some strength and has been able to really control this currency pair. Now, one thing that I'm really looking for here is a continuation of this downtrend, but we're sitting right on a previous level of resistance here and a previous level of support here. So this is definitely a level to look for. What I would really be interested in, if price is able to close below this today, is a strong continuation of this. Now, 97 down here is a pretty long way off, but it is a possible level to keep your eye on, because the odd dollar is showing a lot of bearish momentum, and we see what happened last time it showed that kind of momentum. So certainly it's not out of the possibility for it to come down here and touch these previous lows. Now again, that does require the odd dollar to beat a lot of support that's going to be in the way, but nonetheless, when it gets momentum, we do see what happens. So with odd dollar, I'm always looking to get on momentum-filled trains because this thing really runs when you're on the right side of it. Odd dollar has the potential to really just motor up and run. It can be a strong train in one direction or the other. So I really like to take advantage of that when I can. And of course, this is something that you want to be on earlier than where we're at now. You want to get on way up here. But that's not to say that just because you missed the first part of this trend that you can't still get on a good price and make more money. So don't think that you have to wait for a whole new trend because you might not have got on early enough. There's still some very potential setups that could occur if this price continues downward. So that's something I'll be looking for. And again, because of that odd dollar trend that I see forming, it gives me a little bit of confidence that the euro dollar might follow suit. So that's certainly something that I'd like to look into and see if that ends up being the case. And if so, getting it at that high of a price on the euro dollar would be very beneficial. If you do decide to take a euro dollar short, like I said, it's still very up in terms of momentum and trend. So you'd want to get in a position that has low risk and something that you'd want to lock in profit or at least break even very quickly. But nonetheless, I think that the reversal setup there is a pretty quality one. All right, let's look at a few more pairs here. The euro pound is a pair that I'm really keeping an eye on. And it's because it's at this level here, where obviously the euro pound has a ton of downward momentum. I've showed you, longer term charts to just the momentum towards the downside is very consistent with the euro pound over recent years. However, we're struggling at a price up here that doesn't seem to want to go either way, because recently we've kind of started building somewhat of an upward move on the euro pound. However, this level is still very much intact, that we could expect a bounce and a new low from. So whether this thing is going to start making a charge back up or just continue right back into that trend is still very much up in the air. And so I want to see something react at this level. But however, all we're getting is chop back and forth. We're not getting a break and a continuation, and we're certainly not getting a crash to a new low. So I'm just waiting for this zone to get broken and for price to move in a direction, because I think that the euro pound is one that could provide us with a really great trade opportunity if either of these two setups occur. And so I'll be keeping an eye out for those. Just remember that if you're looking for long, if you're looking for shorts, you want this price or this level to be broken pretty clearly. You know, not anything that just barely goes below here won't do. You want a clear break of this little upward move because the euro pound is likely to fake you out if it's going to go up by first going to the downside to some extent. So definitely keep that in mind. Notice that the euro was slightly weaker than the pound today. We had a little bit of bearish progress on the euro pound, which means that the pound dollar movement is not going to be very much to the downside like it was on the euro dollar. And you can see that just by looking at the pound dollar. If I scroll it over here, the bar is much smaller just based on that fact that the euro is a little weaker today than the pound. Also keep in mind that we have this base here, that if the pound does head down, this is going to be a very strong level to be broken. So if we get a continuation on a short entry on the pound and decide to take that, this is going to be a level that's reckoned with, and we want to keep an eye on that as well. Let's look at the US yen really quickly. The US yen is in that channel that we talked about for quite some time, and I can extend my channel now because price has gotten out of it. But you can see that we're still very choppy here and still waiting for a breakout. We had one fake toward the north that came right back down to the channel, and so we're still looking for that break that's going to provide us with a long-term trade entry on the US yen, and we just don't really see that yet. So it's just a matter of time, unfortunately, with the US yen. I think that there will eventually be a great breakout opportunity, but it's just not happening yet. Alrighty, we've got a few more pairs to cover here. One pair that I'm going to look at is the EURCAD, since we talked a lot about that last week. I don't know if you remembered, last week we talked a lot about the EURCAD because EURCAD was in such a downtrend, but it did make some progress in breaking towards the upside. We were looking for a retest and continuation to the upside on the EURCAD with the euro strength, but nothing really ever worked out as the price kind of died, and you can see that we're still in this very tight range with the EURCAD. So looking for a step in one direction or the other is very possible. Now with the euro, obviously news and other things are gonna play a factor, but if it continues to rally at all, this next step could be a very big one because it could come right back up to this previous level, and if it does decide to break out of this little range right here, let me get rid of this text here. If it does break out of this little range to the upside, it could get up here very quick because often when ranges that are this tight break out, there's a serious explosion. So the price there from this bar to this one is about 300 pips. So it could cover 300 pips in just a few days, and that would be something that you definitely want to be ready for if you're a EURCAD trader, which I have really I really like this pair because it seems that it trades pretty technically. It follows trend lines pretty well, and breakouts tend to be legitimate more than fakes. More often than not, that is, because every pair has fake outs and trickery in them, or else it wouldn't be the Forex market. But still, EURCAD seems maybe a little more technical than some other pairs that I trade, and maybe that's just my perception of it, but I do like to trade it because of that. So keep an eye on that little range that's, that little tight cluster that it's in now, and watch for a breakout on that. Along with EURCAD, we were looking at EUROAUD. Now, EUROAUD has made a lot more progress to the upside, obviously, because of the odd weakness compared to the CAD weakness. And I know that we talked about long opportunities on the EUROAUD, and some of you took them, quite a while ago and are probably up really large. You can see that we still haven't had a single bearish bar that's made up any ground here. A few stall bars here, but no bearish bars that have really made up any ground since this launch really started, which is pretty incredible on a pair like the EUROAUD where it's normally dominated to the downside. So that's a pretty incredible thing that we have going on here, and it might be risky to take any longs at this point where it's overextended to the upside. But if this trend is for real, there's a lot of room for this thing to go up. So any type of pullbacks and continuations will be awesome trade opportunities in the future if you're buying into this EUROAUD for real. And it's, I'm not sure if I'm buying into it, to be honest with you. I think that this Euro rally could very well just be a fake, could be shaking people out of long-term trades. I don't know. But if I see more evidence and I begin to buy into it, and the trend shows me that it's legitimate, you look for those long-term setups on any pullbacks, and you can find really great trade opportunities. So it's worth investigating and worth taking a look at to see if these trends do in fact continue. And if they do, then make your bias towards the side that it's trending on. If you're looking for those long-term entries, get in on pullbacks or breaks of levels and hold those trades, because when a trend is really moving and is in full swing and full momentum, it sure is amazing how many pips it can cover in just a few weeks, and we've seen that time and time again with these breakouts. So keep that in mind. All right, speaking of pips, let's check out our pound New Zealand pair that we always like to close with. The pound New Zealand is definitely rocketing upward pretty nicely. It's something that we talked about, if this little channel broke out before, that we might get a lot of upward movement and not a lot of time, and you can see that we definitely got that. Since this little break, if we assume that this candle here was the break, we've had about 350 pips of movement upward in just a few days, so keep an eye on that. Also note that this little tail here that I was thinking that it would have more trouble breaking, the last day of, Monday of this week, broke right through that. So we're getting continuation past a key resistance level, which to me always means that the trend is kind of confirmed, the new trend is kind of confirmed, and we're looking for upward movement to continue. So any kind of pullback towards that level and continuation will be a great long setup as far as I'm concerned. It's definitely one that I'll be stalking and looking for. So that's pound New Zealand, and keep an eye out for that, because this thing moves like no other. All right. Well, that's about it for the analysis today. Hope that was helpful for the beginning of your week. Well, beginning if you're celebrating Labor Day, that is. And if you have any questions or comments, certainly leave those below, and I'll get back to you with that. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.